When people think about you, what do they think about? What are you known for? What's your signature? Let's talk about it.
The world is waiting for your story. Come on, let's go. Welcome to the RK3 show. Welcome to the RK3 show.
Hey y'all, it's the RK3 show. I'm Robert Kennedy III, RK3. That's me. This is episode 25. I'm alive, ready to thrive. I said thrive, not drive. Out of rhymes, because my next one was going to be beehive, and I didn't know how to make sense out of that. Anyway, we're back. So glad. Have you been getting goodness out of these episodes? If you have, I want to know about it. Hit me up and leave a message on my voicemail. I want to hear from you. As a matter of fact, you heard from Jeanbaptiste a few weeks ago, and I want to play a message his son left on my voicemail.
Welcome to the RK3 show. Catch your mind well.
That's what happens when your son is listening to your podcast all the time. Thanks so much for the great information. Eric Jean-Baptiste out.
Oh, come on. Now you have to leave a message. And the little child shall lead them. Thanks, Eric. I really appreciate you sharing that. Now, everybody else, I want you to leave me a voicemail by going to robertkennedy3.com/voicemail. That's robertkennedy3.com/voicemail. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Anyway, listen, I wanted to tell you about my vacation. My family and I, we just went to the beautiful island of Barbados. Before you ask, no, I didn't see Rihanna, although I was definitely keeping my eyes open. It was a beautiful place. There were so many picturesque areas. We stayed in this Airbnb that was literally on the beach, and it was so much fun. Every morning I would look out. I would sit on the veranda and look out, and there would be those two blue umbrellas with the beach chairs below them. It was amazing. One morning, though, my wife and I woke up, and we saw these fingers and eyes on the windowsill just peering into the room at us. It was this monkey on the windowsill, and I wish I could have grabbed my camera fast enough. It was awesome. It was a little weird at first, but still pretty funny if you think about it. My wife didn't think so, but anyway, listen, there is no guest today, and I just wanted to talk to you about something. But I wanted to start out with a question. When people think about you, what do they think about? Do they think about a specific job? Do they think about a specific action, a specific emotion? When they think about you, do they say, oh, remember that time, Robert? Or do they say, well, if you really want help with this, go to Robert because he is... Why is that even important? Aside from the obvious branding possibilities, it sets people up to know who you are and what you care about. What am I even talking about, and what do I mean? Well, recently I had an experience where someone called me on the phone. I was driving and I answered, hello, Robert speaking. The voice came back and it said, hey, Robert, listen, I wanted to call you because I'm writing this email to send out and I wasn't sure how it sounded. I figured you're the communication guy. Let me run it by you. Wow. Right? I knew that before, but it hit me. Hey, I'm known for this. And I had another situation where there was a particularly tough meeting that I had a chance to observe. The leader in the meeting was pretty tense and tried to help the group navigate the issues that were on the table. But everything he said was met with resistance, and a lot of it came down to one word or one sentence that he stated. Now, I won't tell you the sentence, but after the meeting, I had a chance to speak with the leader, and I said, whoa, dude, that was rough. He was like, you're telling me. I couldn't say much more than I said, and it just got crazier and crazier. So I responded to him saying, there was one thing that might have steered it differently. What about? Then I shared with him a quick sentence that I thought would have made this meeting go differently. He opened his eyes and he shook his head. Man, I should have just come to you because you're the communication guy. There it is again. It's really important to know and understand who you are and understand how people see you, because it makes things so much easier. If you have to speak or present, you have a place you've planted your flag, and you become a resource for people in that thing. Now, once you become known for something, people also become more interested in how you got there. But most people miss this. And when they have to speak or present, they spend time coming up with all sorts of content and data and examples, when in many cases, they can pull from one of the greatest resources themselves. When you're able to look within and find a core idea that people resonate with and are willing to listen to over and over and over again, I call this your signature story. Now, if you're a leader in an organization who has to if you're a speaker, or a leader in an organization who has to present to different groups, departments, organizations, then a signature story is helpful. Let me give you 3 great reasons why having a signature story is important. Here we go. Reason number 1. It cuts down on your prep time. You have to speak, and you spend a lot of time preparing and figuring out what needs to start, what needs to go in the middle, what needs to happen at the end, and you try to redo this process every time you have to speak. Having a story that you can use again and again and again and pull different morals, different points of meaning, different perspectives from is a great way to prep and connect with your audience easily. And that's what it's about, connecting with your audience. Now, when I talk about signature story, I don't necessarily mean you're telling the same exact story over and over and over, although you can if you happen to be speaking to different audiences. Your signature story might be so tight that you can pull different pieces of it to share with your audience depending on the lesson or the point you're trying to make. Sometimes if people hear you in different settings, they then put the pieces of the story together like a puzzle, but the different lessons they've learned from each part of the story are powerful. And you don't have to gloss over your story. You don't have to just say it quickly and move on. You can really milk it. You can take the different parts of this story, tell them slowly and pour over it and really inspire your audience. Reason number 2. Having a signature story allows you to be more authentic. If you know your story, you don't really need notes. You can speak like you're having a conversation, and you'll know the ins, the outs, the hills, the valleys, the turns, the twists. You'll know it all because it's your story. And when it's yours, there's just a different passion that shines through. So now your audiences see your energy, your ownership of the content and the topic. Here's a tip, and some people might be mad when I say this, but when you can own your story and you're passionate in its delivery, you come across as more brilliant and charismatic. You want to be more brilliant and charismatic? Tell a story about you and tell it with passion, tell it with energy, tell it with drive. Reason number 3, having a signature story cements who you are. It convinces you of your own purpose and helps others to know what's important to you. People will listen because they know there's a reason you're so passionate about a specific topic, passionate enough to repeat elements of the same story over and over again, and yet be able to tell it in different ways because you know it inside and out. Now, I could give you a lot more, but I want to share something else with you. I want to help you discover, develop, and deliver your signature story. So if you look in the show notes, I want to share with you a link where I'll be taking people through that process. What would it be like if you could quickly access a story that connects with people, inspires them, and drives them to action every time? What would it be like if you could speak and have people know what you're going to say, but still hang on to your every word? How would you feel if people recognized you and associated you with something amazing that motivates them to be better. Would you like that? Okay, then jump on over to the show notes for the link. Okay, that's it for today. I know. Today's show was quite a bit shorter, but listen, we've got more coming your way next week. You know what to do. Email me. Send me a message at podcast@robertkennedy3.com. That's podcast@robertkennedy3.com. I want to hear your thoughts, answers to your questions, or actually I'll answer your questions if you share with me your thoughts and your questions, okay? Or you can leave me a voicemail at robertkennedy3.com/voicemail. If you liked what you heard today, head on over to one of the podcast sites, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, etc., and leave a review. Apple Podcasts, if you leave a review there, that helps the show hit more ears. And speaking of help, support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/The RK3 Show. Listen, I know I say that different every time. It's Patreon or it's Patreon, one of the two, whichever one is patreon.com/The RK3 Show. And visit me over in the Speak Right Now community on FB, Facebook. You can even hang out with me on Instagram. I'm Robert Kennedy 3 there. Holler at your boy. Guess what, everybody? Everything that happens to you in life is your stuff is your story, and your story deserves a stage. I'm Robert Kennedy III, RK3, and you've been listening to